Pre-Algebra, Lesson 8-6, Applications of Percents. You're going to want to write some of this stuff down in your notes. Okay, here's what it says. Salespeople often earn a commission, which is a percent of their total sales. And it says to find the commission on a real estate sale of $125,000 if the commission rate is 4%. So let's first understand the situation. um, when people buy and sell houses, a lot of times they'll use a real estate agent, and the real estate agent has to make some money, okay? So they make a percentage of the sale. So in this scenario, the house was sold for $125,000, and the real estate agent gets 4% of that, okay? So let's look at how to calculate that. This is the formula right here for figuring out commission. The commission rate, that means the percent. So in this case, that was 4%, and you have to write it as a decimal. So 0.04 times the amount of the sale, which was this $125,000 right here, and you just put that in your calculator, and you've got 0.04 times $125,000 works out to $5,000. So the real estate agent got $5,000 for having worked to sell that house. Okay, we're still working with that same scenario where the real estate agent earned the $5,000. Now, sometimes you have this situation. In addition to the commission, the $5,000, the salesperson earns a salary of $1,000. That means the real estate agent's boss gives them $1,000 just for working that month, even if they didn't sell anything, okay? And so here's another formula for you. If the real estate agent earns both a commission and a salary, you basically add them together to get their total pay. So $5,000 for having sold the house and $1,000 just for working there each month. And that equals a total of $6,000 for that person's pay. Okay, in this little exercise, it says that we're going to simply write an equation to find the commission for the following things, and we don't even have to solve it. So we're just going to write down what problem we would do to find the commission. So 10% as a decimal is 0.1 times $4,000. That's how you would find the commission. Number 3, 8% is 0.08 times 3,575. 5.5% as a decimal, 0.055 times 60,000. You guys should know how to change percents into decimals. You're just moving the decimal point back 2 places. So over here, 6%, 0.06 times 8450, 12%, 0.12. Now 6 1/4 is a little more interesting. I'd like to write 6 1/4 as 6.25 and then move the decimal point back 2 places. So that's 0.0625. All right, so those are the problems you would do in order to solve the commission. And all you have to do then is put that in your calculator. Okay, in the next set of questions, we're being asked to write a proportion. It's always good to know how to write a proportion to represent each situation. And again, we're not required to solve. All we're going to do is write the proportion. So a proportion starts with a fraction line, an equal sign, and a fraction line. When it's dealing with percent, we always put 100 on the bottom of this. If we are given the percent, it goes on top of the 100. But this says what percent, and what means X. Okay, then over here we need to put the part on the top and the whole on the bottom. Another way of looking at that would be a lot of times the whole is what I call the of number. Of oftentimes comes in front of that number, and the part is often the is number. Now that doesn't work every single time. You have to see if it makes sense. But let's go ahead and see if that works here. Of 14 on the bottom and is 7 on the top. So you have set up a proportion for this scenario, 7 over 14, and you can see that's going to be the same as 50 over 100, and the answer would be 50%. But you're not even asked to solve, just to set the proportion up. Okay, number 8, fraction line, equal sign, fraction line, 100 here. Are we given the percent? No, again, it says what. So we're going to put the X here, the is number, and the of number. Well, the of number is pretty clear, 25, and the is number is 7. And again, this is the part over the whole. So that's a proportion for that situation. Number 9 also asks for a proportion, equal sign, fraction line, 100 on the bottom. And we were given the percent this time, 12.5. So that goes here. So the question is, 16, where does that go? It is the of number. It is the whole. So 16 goes on the bottom, and that leaves a spot for your X, because we're supposed to figure out what the part is. Number 10, fraction line, equal sign, fraction line. 100. We were given the percent, so that goes here. And 21 is, that's going to be the part that goes on the top. And the of number, see how that's of what number? What is X? So that's how you set up that proportion. Okay, now you're being asked to go ahead and solve. I would do this on lined paper, but that doesn't work very well for the purposes of my video. So I'm going to use the space that I have available to me here. I'm going to go ahead and set up a proportion for number 11. Let's try that again. Put your 100 on the bottom. We are given the percent 25, so that goes over the 100. And then we need to know where that goes. And we've got of what. So the what is the X, the of number goes on the bottom, the is number 45 goes on the top. Okay, then you have to cross multiply to solve. So I always start with the X. So X times 25 is 25X. 100 times 45 is 4,500. And then, I'm sorry, all this stuff is in the way here. I'll just bring that down here. 25X equals 4,500. Divide both sides by 25. And X equals, you just put that in your calculator and you should get 180 as your answer. Okay, let's go ahead and do number 12. Set up our proportion. Put 100 on the bottom here. We do not have a percent. It says what percent. So the X goes on the top. The of number goes on the bottom. And the is number goes on the top. That is the part over the whole. Then we cross multiply, starting with the X. 288X equals 3,600. And then to solve for X, we divide both sides by 288. And we get X equals 12.5. And kind of check and make sure that that makes sense. 12.5 out of 100 versus 36 out of about 300. That answer makes sense. Okay, you're definitely going to need to be able to solve some word problems in this section. Number 13 says a financial investment broker earns 4% on each customer dollar invested. If the broker invests $50,000, what is the commission on the investment? And you had a formula earlier that showed you to take the 4% as a decimal, 0.04, and multiply it by, in this case, the amount invested, which is $50,000. And then you just put that in your calculator. And I believe that equals $2,000. So the investment broker, earned $2,000 by investing other people's money. Okay, moving on to number 14. Charlene bought 4 CDs at the music store. Each cost $14.95. She was charged 5% sales tax on her purchase. What was the total cost of her purchase? So, of course, the first thing we're going to have to do is multiply the 14.95 times 4 to figure out what the total cost of her purchase was. So you can just put that in your calculator. And that comes out to $59.80. That was her purchase, okay? If she is being charged 5% sales tax, just leave that figure in your calculator and put times 0.05. So she was charged $2.99 for sales tax. But the question asks, what was the total cost of her purchase? So we're going to have to do the $59.80, the cost of the CDs, plus the $2.99 for the tax, and that will give us $62.79 for her total cost. Now, I want to show you something. Some of you won't get this, but some of you will. Once you know what the CDs cost, let's go back to that $59.80 figure. To get the total cost, here's what I like to do. I'm going to multiply it times 1.05. The 1 just gets you the $59.80 back, and the 0.05 gets you the tax. So if you clear out your calculator and you put in 59.8 times 1.05, you're going to get that 62.79 all in one step without having to do any addition. So I'm not sure if you got that, but if you're trying to get the whole cost, the 1 gets you the cost of the stuff, and the 0.05 gets you the tax. And so they're all taken into account in one step then, so feel free to do that.